Welcome to Big Red's HVAC Experience. Today I'm going to be changing out a heat exchanger by water furnace. Smarter from the ground up. And here it is. These are compact. They fit right in the closet. They're in every room of the building here. Coming from a cooling tower. First thing I did was turn the breaker off and remove the cover. I now am disconnecting the thermostat wires, which are on a nice clip. Tight squeeze through the hole. Gotta be careful. The metal's sharp and can splice them open if you pull on them too hard. Noticing a lot of spliced wires in the thermostat wiring from the installers. Now disconnected the ground wires for the water pump, and then they have a power wire. The neutral seem to go right in with the ground, screw in with the ground. And then the power wire to the water pump was on the outgoing side of the contactor. As I pulled the thermostat wires through the hole, the yellow one came disconnected, which I have an idea of where it goes, but you can always remove the thermostat and make sure your wiring matches in the back of the thermostat. Okay, first step, disconnecting the power switch. Get the plate off. Hard to do when you've got water lines in the way. I tried a different, smaller electric screwdriver. But you gotta have yourself a stubby driver. Got a little, it's like a little 6-in-1. Gotta be ready for anything, and you've gotta have a stubby. Gotta have that stubby screwdriver. Comes in handy all the time in HVAC. Okay, I got the plate off. Falling on the side. Banging around. And these wires can be tricky on this switch, especially when you're in an awkward position, a low angle. And I get that water pumps wires out of my way. I'm disconnecting the top, which is incorrect. But it's okay because I'm pulling this unit and I realize it. The power wires are coming through the bottom of the switch, entering through the bottom. Power goes through the switch and out the top. Headed over to the control board. So I figured that out. Gotta get the ground wire. It's on a separate little block. And get the main power wires pulled from the connection. Out comes the main power. Okay, the main shutoffs. There's two shutoffs. The main and the second ones have the filter cartridge and stuff in them. Both shut off. Now here are the lines That enter and exit the heat exchanger. Try to drain the water out. So as I disconnect the line, I knew there was going to be some water still in it. So I got the bucket ready. Pulled the line and put it right into the bucket. With the unit off, it's a little tricky to drain the lines. Man, this hose sucks. Don't get this kind of hose. I don't know what brand it is, but the connection doesn't turn very good, and it's pretty flimsy. Not a big fan. It looks cool, but it's not that good of a hose. Clean it up a little bit. Okay, we got it drained, and we got the water lines disconnected. Now we're going to be looking at the ventilation. I'm trying to find the drain line, which I can see it, but it is not accessible. In fact, the whole unit is really compact. It's kind of why we're pulling this one out to repair it. But instead, we're going to just put a brand new one right back in. And we'll work on this one on the side. We called people in. We called the company in that installed and everything. And I'm not sure what they determined was wrong with it. Even I worked on it. And another HVAC employee of my friend also worked on it. We're good friends, worked together. And I'm not sure exactly what the final conclusion was. It just wasn't. It would start to cool or heat and then just shortly shut off. So there was some kind of restriction. There's no way to access that drain line. Trying to figure out what I can do. There's the cover to the filter. There's just no way to disconnect that drain line. Pull the unit out. Now while I got it pulled out, I'm going to slow it to regular time while I explain.
There's your compressor.
About the unit.
Water comes in, mixes with the refrigerant. The refrigerant is in the middle of the water inside of here, so the refrigerant tube goes inside of there. The water spins around it and cools or heats with the refrigerant pulling it through the copper. Comes back out. This is your TXV valve. This would be your heat exchanger.
Reversing valve.
So it can either
is what this is actually called.
Go one way to cool the room, or it can switch the valve, or it can switch the valve and heat the room as well, just by reversing the refrigeration process with this valve right here. This is a pressure switch. This is where you would hook up, and this, which is really not very accessible, you can see, yeah, the hookups are tiny. So this is your heat exchanger. We're going to pull this one out, fix it, and we're going to put a new one in.
So the only thing we actually pulled was our power wire to the switch, the pump, ground, and this just goes to the top of the power, and you got your stat, low voltage going to the stat. Pretty simple, 2 water lines. And your
All right, let's get the new one in there.
line. Intake, outtake. Supply line, return. Ready to go.
There's our new unit. Back plate can come off. Get your drain line, drain. I noticed this one was put together a little different. Maybe it'll be a little more convenient. Gotta lift that plate up a little bit to screw it on. Getting it in by yourself is pretty tough. And it's pretty heavy. And there's a lot of stuff in the way. Compact closet. Yeah, it's cool. It takes up minimal space, but come on. Hook up the drain line. Ridiculous. Carefully ease that into place. Not a scratch. Drain line does a loop, but it'll be okay.
Yikes.
May have to pull a little bit more of that drain line inside the unit. Here we go. That main power. First things first. Comes with an assembly kit, which is a little bit tough if you're not following any instructions or just figuring it out for the first time. And no, this did not come with instructions. So there's like 2 rings, and I missed it at first. I only put the back ring on, but the little rings go on the front and back. I'm going to be figuring out I'm doing it wrong. That's what it is. I'm giving it to you. Uncut. If I make a mistake, we're going to see it. We're going to learn this together. Punch holes can be tough to punch out sometimes. Ring screw on the nut. Nice little assembly. Last thing you want is any issues with the main power. So you need a good inlet kit. I thought they did good with this one. A little tricky to get put together, but once you do, it's nice. Cords slide in. Then they go immediately straight up, which is tough. There's the outer locking ring. Has 2 screws. Really locks that line in tight. Noticed I wasn't liking it. I forgot to put one of the rings on. There's a ring on the back and a ring on the front. Like I said, I'm showing you uncut. Might as well do it right. If it doesn't seem right, figure it out. Now I've got a ring on the front and back with the nut on the back. Much better. They go in and straight up. That's a tough angle for installation. I realized the cap's off. Hey, you never know when you might nudge the line open. You never know. There we go. Keep that cap on. All right, we got the wire in tight, assembled correctly. And now they've got to go into the switch. And this is where it's a bad angle. It's low behind the water lines. But we've got to do this good. We got to do it right. Have no issues with the main power. Got to do it right and tight. And make sure it's good. Very important step. They're all important steps. It's all got to be done right. The main power, for sure. That's tough, especially for big hands. Open those all the way open so you make sure the wire goes all the way in. Always open that. Open that all the way open so the wire goes all the way in. No problem. Then tighten it tight. Oh, Spider-Man. Hooking up the ground wire Spider-Man style. It was the toughest one. There we go. Get that faceplate on that switch. And now the water lines aren't hooked up, so at least we can turn it out a little bit. Not have to use the stubby. Okay, brand new nipples. They came pre-taped and everything. Get those nip backs. Highly recommended. Great wrenches. Slip joint. The button. Want to tighten those nipples on pretty tight. Not too tight, but just one more little extra tug for Grandpa. Bottom to top may have been easier, but hey, no biggie. Okay. And I'm realizing bottom to top is definitely easier for the water lines. Live and uncut. Get it nice and tight for Grandpa. Having an issue with that outlet line. Get the power cord out of the way. There we go. Straight in. Lines up perfect. This one is a little different. The board's even set up differently. Now, they shoved the water pump's wires through with the thermostat wires, but I decided to knock out a separate hole. So they can each have their own entry hole, not have to be rubbing together. I'm noticing the board is different. That's how those double grounds went. I guess the neutral just goes with the ground. Now I gotta figure out where the power goes, and since it's different, you don't want to put the pump's wire on the incoming side of the switch or contact. You got the power coming in, and you put it on the opposite side where the power would come out of the switch to the pump. I'm checking out my thermostat wires and noticing they've got some abrasions on them. And I'm noticing a lot of that going on with the installers. The yellow wire came loose, so I'm checking the stat to make sure exactly where the yellow wire goes back in. Got my little itty bitty set, screwdriver set. Must have for all your thermostat needs. Got that yellow one back in there. And I'm gonna go ahead and anywhere I see exposed wiring, I'm gonna go ahead and cover it with some electrical tape. And it's almost every wire. Nothing worse than chasing a electrical issue, which I'm having with a different unit. The other unit's a ceiling unit too, not very accessible. I've been chasing ground every time I turn the board on, turn the switch on, it's breaking the fuse, which is one nice thing about the board is there's a fuse. So anytime there's a ground, the fuse will pop instead of something worse. Like burnt up transformer or something like that. Or sparks. But I'm thinking on the other project, I've checked the thermostat wires, and it seems like a deeper grounding issue. Man, up in the ceiling, like I said, there's no access. They put these things up in the ceilings, and I can't seem to chase where the ground's happening, which, like I say, it could be in the wiring inside the unit or something to that effect. That's going to be a different project. Okay, thermostat wire goes through its own hole. Plenty of room. Get the wires at a good angle. Get them plugged into the board. Wired up. Okay, now we gotta get it hooked up to the ventilation system. Just Just line it up and screw it down. Nice little screw holding tray with magnet. Definitely comes in handy. I keep leaving them everywhere though. One's on a roof. And this was tricky to get this part lined up. Make sure you wear gloves for this type of stuff. Sharp edges. And the new unit only had one screw hole I could see. So, had to get the drill out. Pre-drill some holes. I've got self-tappers, but you still got to pre-drill.
Wow.
That wound my glove up. Kind of having a little bit of trouble getting this connected nicely. There we go. Get it in there tight. Do it right. Quality. Quality. Any little problem can mess it up. You know, these things don't breathe right. They'll mess up. You don't want any extra air escaping. As much as possible. Nice and tight. Sufficient as possible. Especially when you're the guy that's going to be the one working on it if it goes bad. Bump check, huh? Look like a victory lap. It's ready. It's hooked up. You saw the fingers wiggling. That sucker's ready to go.
No looking. Okay.
Okay. Follow. Make sure we go incoming water line from the source. One valve at a time, nice and slow. Always move those water lines slow. Okay, lines are open. And I decide I'm gonna bleed it. Just get the air out. See the breather valve down there. And there was some air. Exercise that top valve a little bit. Power on. I remembered I got a new stat. I don't think there was anything wrong with the first one, but You never know. And they gave me a new stat, so let's do it. Seen a little piece fly off, which was concerning to me. It was for the base, I come to find out. I'm comparing to make sure everything was right. Make sure all of your jumpers are correct. Turn it on. We've got some blinking lights going on. That's a sign of power. And you want to put that cover on more sooner than later, because if this thing's not breathing right, it will shut itself off. So, use their logo as a nice little handle when you got to lift that front base. 2-finger grab on the water furnace logo and just push it up. Put the screw in. Yeah, these do not like to have the cover off. Now I'm setting the stat, trying to get it to start cooling. Make sure everything's going. They usually have a delay. And I realized that I did not set the stat correctly. Okay, there we go. Now we're set. This is a cool little magnetic device that shows you that your water pump is spinning. Gotta have your probe. And you feel the lines. You want to feel about a 6-degree difference in the lines. I also like to close the door as well. Like I said, if that thing has breathing issues, seems to want to cut out. Get a bit of the bubbles out of the line. I'm checking the temperature with the surface temp gun. Looks good. We've got heat exchange going on, and I've been working in this place for a minute, and so having that one not work and seeing this one work is great. And it starts pushing 40s out of the vent. It's working very good. I like to do my set points. For heat, I give them 80. Cooling, we can go 68. Not a big fan of the auto. I notice you got to set it up right. If you put it in the auto feature, I'm pretty sure the unit will fight itself. And that's that. Here's a couple of logos that AI made up for me. Still choosing. This was my first video, so I'm not sure which logo to go with yet. But here's some options. Big Red's HVAC experience. And it's been fun. This was a good experience on a new heat exchanger. Probably not too many videos about these being exchanged yet by water furnace.